Hello and welcome to Christ Church of Flagstaff Sunday Sermon from August 8th, 2021. If you have been joining us online, you may have noticed that we don't have the worship portion in our videos anymore, but we are continuing to do worship in person, and we miss you. We would love for you to join us in person. Next week is a wonderful opportunity to welcome you back. August 15th, it's the start of our new series, Family Life Hacks. It's a wonderful opportunity to learn how to have more effective relationships in your life. And we're excited to let you know that we have interviewed counselors from around the city. They are professional therapists who share their wisdom with us how to better our relationships. Next, we are excited to let you know that we will be hosting Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and that starts on August 19th, and that's a Thursday. It'll be every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. Financial Peace University is a wonderful opportunity to grow in knowledge about financial freedom for your future and for the now. If you are interested in FPU and you would like to register, just head over to ccof.church/events. Over the next couple of weeks, we are going to be showing you our CCOF app and some of the changes that have been made. We are excited about these changes and we hope that you'll check them out. Last week, we mentioned that we had a full group of high school campers that went to camp and were returning, and that we heard some wonderful stories. But something I didn't know yet when I was sharing that with you was that there were 12 baptisms at high school camp. It's because of your generosity that these children were able to go and experience Jesus in a new way at camp. If you are not already a financial partner with Christ Church of Flagstaff and you are interested in the path to do that, just follow these two ways on the screen here.
Well, again, I just want to say good morning. Thanks so much for joining us here this morning at Christ Church. It's just such an honor to be together with you. And as we just worship, what a great job the team did. And we're going to just share in God's word in a little bit. You're going to hear from one of my favorite people in the whole world here in a second. And before that, I just want to say thank you for all of you who do so much around here. All of our volunteers, all of our financial supporters. And if that's something that you haven't been able to get involved in and you would like to, you can see the information on the screen. We're going to talk a lot today, or a little bit today. You have a flyer about our app. You can also see how to give there, but we would love for you to join us in that. And here's the thing I will say as well. We have had so many new people coming every single week this summer, and as school's getting ready to launch this week for most of our kids, we just know there's a lot of you who are here new and just want more information about our church, or maybe you have a question, or maybe you've been here a long time and you have a question. Right outside this building, you might have seen a little bit of a tent and a table, and there's a team of people. They're wearing really cool teal shirts that say new here. So if you see someone wearing that shirt and you have a question, you can ask them that question. But please, after we're done, go over to that tent and just say hi to them and give them an opportunity to answer your question or find the answer to your question. But again, we are so glad you were here. There are so many great things that are happening here at Christ Church. And what we're going to do today in our message is we're going to talk about, we're going to talk for a couple minutes about why we exist. And I say this all the time, and it's been like the joy of my recent life is I interact with people who've been to our church, and they say this phrase in different ways back to me, or just in conversation. But I just want to remind us for just a couple of minutes why we exist. You see, the point of, I think, every church, and the way we phrase it here is that we exist, this church, this group of people, we exist to help one another follow Jesus. That's what we're trying to do. And there's all kinds of things that entails. But I think it's important sometimes to just not worry about all the things, but remember, what is the point? Why does the church exist? When Jesus set up this thing called the church, was just a gathering of people. That's all a church is. And we exist to help another follow Jesus. And one of the things we say often here at Christ Church is this second phrase. It's just a twist on the first one, is that we will do whatever it takes to help one more person follow Jesus. Now I think this statement, this mindset, makes you and I a little bit unique in the way that our church has just decided to operate. This isn't a new mindset. Maybe the verbiage to it feels a little new, but this is how it's been for what's getting ready to be 37 years that our church has been in existence, is that we have been willing to do whatever it took to help one more young person, to help one more adult, one more mom, one more foster parent or foster child, or one more senior citizen, one more person, one more man, one more woman, one more Democrat, one more Republican. God help us all. I even said those words, right? One more. Like, whatever it takes. And that's always been our posture. And what I want to, and why I bring this up, is I want to share with you today some ways, some things we're doing to help one another follow Jesus, because we'll do whatever it takes to help you. Sometimes we think of this like one more other person as like some outsider, like the furthest, like most. What if we're just talking about you? What if we're just talking about me for a second? What if we're just talking about my daughter who is helping lead worship? This church will do whatever it takes to help Abby follow Jesus, or your daughter, or your son, even your prodigal son, your prodigal husband, your mom, your grandma, your boss. Like, how better would work be if your boss followed Jesus? Woo! What if it was you? What if it was me? I want you to think about that. We will do whatever it takes to help you follow Jesus. I just want you to let that kind of sink in for a second. It's easy to think about, like, my neighbor, my other people, like really extreme examples. But what if it's for you? What are the things we're doing? And that's what I want to spend a little bit of time talking about. See, we do all kinds of things around here. And actually I watch other churches on social media, like their events calendar, and I get tired. And everybody says, like, we do a lot of stuff. I'm like, no way, man, go check out that place or this group. But we do some stuff. We have some opportunities so that you can follow Jesus a little bit more than you follow him today, a little bit easier, a little bit more with other people in your corner and on your team. Maybe a little bit more information or a little bit more inspiration. Whatever it is you need, we're going to do whatever it takes to help you and your son and your daughter and your spouse and your roommate and your boss. So here are a couple of those things, and they're really important that we know about these and that they're coming soon, many of them, as we get back into our regular kind of fall schedule. The first one is called Rooted. And its name gives you this picture of what you should kind of like figure out, right? Like how do you put the roots down into your faith? What is it you need? What are the core essential things? And that's what Rooted really dives into. And it does it so well. Hundreds of people who've been a part of our church over the last several years, 5-6 years now, have experienced Rooted. It's 10 weeks long. It's a really intense, short commitment. 10 weeks. I mean, you think about it, that's like 20% of your year, of 1 year, to put roots into your faith and to help you follow Jesus, to understand things maybe you don't understand, experience things, learn things, connect with people. It's 10 weeks. It's one night a week. You have to read a short lesson. It's like 2 pages on a notebook, answer some questions, and get together and share with a group of people what you answered, what you experienced during those 5 days of some homework. And you do that 10 times. And over and over and over again, God has used this experience, not just in our church, in our community, but all over the world to impact the followers of Jesus, or people even deciding, do I want to follow Jesus? What does this mean to follow Jesus? This is a great place for you to start. We're going to begin on September 19th. And I tell you now, it's like 5-6 weeks away because it's an intense commitment. We say if you can't attend 8 out of the 10 weeks, then now's not the right time because you have to be all in on this. But it's a place for God to use. We do other things called Grow You. They're shorter. Many of them are 5 weeks. And they're different topics and different things. Those are going to start in October. And you can go on our website. You see the info there. And we do these things. Grow You is all kinds of different topics. It's always changing. There's always multiple ones that are being offered. And Bible studies to very practical things, relationship help, financial help, whatever area you're looking for, there's probably a Grow You group. It's a short between 5 and 10 weeks as well to help you follow Jesus. And these things, they come out of, like, not out of thin air, like they really just come in. And it's a season where you and I have to lean back into being connected to other people. We keep wanting to separate. We keep wanting to keep ourselves safe, and that's important. But we're missing connection, and we're missing what, even in the very, very beginning of following Jesus, the author of Hebrews said it this way. Look what he says. He said, let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. He's talking to people in a church just like you and I. Not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another. That's why you need to get into this mindset that you also will do whatever it takes to help yourself follow Jesus. We're going to do whatever it takes to help you, to help one more person follow Jesus. But will you do whatever it takes? Will you connect with some other people for a season? Go back to that verse, sorry. Encourage one another. And all the more as you see the day. I love that. They put a capital on that D. This was written so long ago. You see the day approaching. What day? The day where Christ returns in the kingdom that he's building. The kind of life he wants for you and I. The day that begins. And all the choices and all the sides are over. He says we need to get together and encourage one another. And that's why we do. And so we offer things like Rooted. We put so much time and effort into it. Maybe you've experienced Rooted in the past and you go like, hey, I could help facilitate that. We need some help with that. Maybe there's something it's on your heart and you go, man, I'd really like to teach this. And that could be something we do with Grow You, or you facilitate a group. Life is so different now, friends. Right? Like I don't have to explain that. I don't have to like go in all the details of the difference. But just our pace, our schedule, even before 2020 began. Our life was already different. And we were moving on this trajectory that in the midst of the difference, in the midst of people's schedules and our life and the way that we run at a different pace. The place that church plays in our, not just our mind and our heart, but just our schedule. Some of our most consistent attenders here at Christ Church come 1 out of 6 weeks. Some of our most committed people. And that's just hard to help one another follow Jesus that few times. So we've been making some changes. We've been investing and working towards how do you and I stay connected? How do we help one another follow Jesus even when we can't be here? And so you see this card that's sitting on your that was on your chair. Some of you moved it because you thought if you moved it, it wouldn't exist anymore. And you wouldn't have to get it, so now you have to get it. And it's simple things that we want to do. I want you to download our app. It's just a really simple request. And I want you to understand what I've been talking about. That's the why. Why do you need to download our app? Because your life is different. Your pace, your schedule, the way that you connect with things and information, it's different. But your need to connect with others, your need to stay connected with this church, it's not different. And so we're trying to make it as easy and as accessible as we can. And you go, well, I know 4 of you here, I promise, I know that you're here. You don't have a smartphone with apps. I know you don't. And in like 2 weeks, the desktop version is coming because you're still on Facebook. I see you liking my comments without your smartphone. I know you're there. So we'll get you in just a week or two. It's just lagging behind. But I want you to download the app. Look, just going to walk you through a couple of quick things. This is not a commercial. This is a tool to help you follow Jesus. That is all it is. If you're kind of like medium tech savvy, you just take out your phone and point the camera to the screen or your piece of paper. And you're like, I don't know where to download apps. I don't know if I can't find it. It's right here, friends. It's right there. And then you're going to download it. Apple on the left, Google on the right. You know that. See, you got it. Nobody's pointing their phone at this. You're not, like, it's participation Sunday. You got to do this. All right, and here's what's going to happen. This is what it looks like. We want you to create a profile here. And again, for all of our benefit of helping one another. And so then the next screen will come up and if you already have the app, this is what happened to me. I already had our app. It's just a newer version of the old one. And so I had to verify that it was really me because like that's a step that it had to happen. So you might get that and you go, hey, we're going to just get a little bit of your information. And you just put it in there. How do you want messages? What messages do you want? What's your email? What's your blood type so we can track you? No, none of that, right? Like this isn't that. Okay, and then the next, you'll see, you get a profile. This is Greg, who's our communications pastor and director, and you're going to have badges, and it's not fully done yet, but it's working. And it's on its way, and all the features and all the badges and all the how we can help one another. They're there. They're on their way. And then when something comes, when an opportunity comes to connect, to grow, to help you, you're going to get what you need. It can be very customizable on our end. And I just want, as we begin this fall season of so many options for your time and your attention, the need to grow, the need to connect to your church, to Jesus, doesn't end Sunday when this service ends. You know that. It continues on. And what I love about what the team's been doing and the work that's been going on for months now is that all the things that I want to connect with you need, they're right there. They're always available, just like everything else. Here's a couple things. Next week, we're starting a new series, Family Life Hacks. We've been doing a lot of advertising and marketing, and here's why. Next week, we need your friends here. Your friends are in a family of some sort, right? And the information, the inspiration that I'm going to share these next 4 weeks, I know will benefit you. It'll benefit me. It's already benefiting me. I get to be a little ahead of you because I know what I'm going to say. And it's just really practical, really applicable. Next week, I'm going to talk about that all of us have a system in which we do our families in. Whatever way your family looks, you have a system. And we're going to upgrade your system. Real simple. It's going to be so impactful. Who can you bring next week? And I want to tell you about one more thing. This is just a little bit of an announcement commercial, but one for good. October 2nd, we're bringing Love 928 back. How many of you participate in a Love 928 event, either the big ones or the small ones? Yeah, like a lot of people. So raise your hand back up. If you didn't raise your hand after we're done, just ask one of these people, was it worth your time? Because they'll almost all tell you yes. And if you find someone who says no, send them to me and I'll help them out. Love 928 is a one-day service project event. We're looking at about 30 different locations. We've got a team of volunteers already out there meeting with our community partners from all people's homes to schools, places like the Boys and Girls Club have been in the past, maybe even our own church. but we're going to go do physical things to help our community, to help the people who help our community. When is it? October 2nd. Very good. A to that student. I want you to just put it in your calendar. You already had your phone out. You were downloading the app. You're making your profile. As soon as you're done with that, like you're still like doing that, right? Go to your calendar. Block off October 2nd. That whole morning, we're going to meet here. We'll disperse. We'll put you in teams. It'll all be awesome. But I want you to save the date. Take your PTO if you work Saturdays, whatever you need to do. And the next day, we're going to have a big party and celebrate it. We'll do whatever it takes to help one more person follow Jesus. Even if that person's me or you. Even if that person's a teenager. And what I want to do is I want to shift gears for a second. I want to invite my friend Celeste Hageman up to join me. Celeste was supposed to be here last week, and her and Joel and I were going to talk about high school and middle school and college ministry together. Here you go, Celeste. Everybody say hi, Celeste. Welcome her.
I think I have to find the microphone.
Oh, your microphone. It's in the back. Let's go get it. You go get it. Okay. That was my fault. I was supposed to give it to her. Okay. So Celeste is our youth pastor. She is going to tell you a little bit of her story, but for the last several months, she has been serving as our youth pastor. So let's do that again. Welcome, Celeste.
Hello. Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm not used to microphones as much. My name is Celeste Hageman, and thank you guys for having me here today. I am excited to share with you my heart for students and just helping one another follow Jesus. So
Tell us a little about you, your family.
I'm married for 24 years.
Awesome.
I have 4 kids, 2 in college, 1 at ASU, 1 at GCU. And then I have a sophomore at Coconino High School, the best school, of course. And that's where I graduated, and the drummer, he graduated there too. And then I have a 7th grader at Sonawa Middle School. So 4 kids, 3 boys, 1 girl. I went to college a long time ago at Colorado Christian University to become an elementary school teacher, and I also got a biblical studies degree while I was there. But mostly, honestly, I taught a few years, like overseas and here, but mostly I've been a mom for 22 years. A neighborhood mom, aide, substitute teacher, just kind of like with kids my whole life.
So you've been doing that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden now you find yourself a youth pastor at a church with middle school and high school students. Like
how did this happen?
How did that happen?
How did this mom end up here? Well, really, like quite a few years ago, some stuff happened in my life where I needed, I got to a place where I needed to know God for real, like at another level. I became a Christian when I was little. I was a pastor's kid and stuff, but like I needed to either give up or actually know God. And so I just started sitting in the back of this church and praying. For a few months, I was just praying, God, if I wasn't afraid, if my fear wasn't in the way of what you were asking or you were telling me, because I just told God what I could do based on what I thought, so I decided I should quit doing that and just say, okay, if I wasn't afraid, like what? Like, why am I even here, and what do you have in this world and life? And I prayed that for a long time. And then one evening, because we had night services back then, they were commissioning Jeff Drayton to be the chaplain of the jail. And it was like God was commissioning me, although no one else in the room knew it, except me and Jesus. But I was in the back, and it was like Jesus was like, that's what I'd have you do. I'd have you go help him. I was like, what? The jail? Like, I have nothing. What? Like, I have nothing to offer at the jail. Like, I don't see how I could do anything. But I knew that's what he said, so I went and introduced myself to Jeff and said, can I help you? And I started doing a Bible study there with the women for about 5 years.
So you were in jail for 5 years.
I was in jail for 5 years, and that is where I met Jesus, people, okay? I thought I was going to meet him at Sunday school when I was 5, which I did, but anyway.
I love that. So you just go and you start helping with a Bible study there and the ladies at the jail.
And when I first walked in, like the first time, I was shaking like I am now. Like I was shaking. Always God has me do things where I'm shaking, but I just like want to know him so much that that's where I find myself. But anyway, so I was shaking, but over the course of those 5 years, the women, like we would sit around the table, and at the core of our hearts and souls, we were all asking the same questions. Me and them, we just wanted to know, did God care what happened in our life? Did it matter? Did he love us? Like, where is he and why and how? And we talked for 5 years about that. And people always say, well, you go do these things and you get more out of it than them. But no, it was really amazing. Like, it really was. So, and I had no idea that that was preparing me for teenagers. But, like, honestly, inmates and teenagers are so similar because...
That makes a lot of sense to me, honestly.
Because they both have to have the real Jesus, like real, either God has to be real. There's no fluff or words or like little motto I can tell them. Like, it has to be God and he has to be real or nothing. There's like no in between. Wow. And so that helped a lot. My jail was my, what do pastors do, the theology school?
Yeah, seminary.
Yeah, my jail was that for me.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so you start serving, you're helping Jeff, who still is doing that ministry as a jail chaplain and does an awesome work. Then what happened next? Like, what are some other things?
And so really, I'm hoping you guys see, like, I'm just like a mom who started to pray, right? And try to listen and actually believe God was telling me things and wait until he did instead of me saying what he was telling me. So the next thing was Rooted, actually. It kind of goes with the announcement. Chris started telling us to do Rooted, and my husband and I were like, we've been through so many life groups that are annoying, and we don't want to hang out with people we don't like. But he was like, no, really, like, you got to try it. So we did, and it was amazing. Like, because you're walking with people committed for those 10 weeks to each other to follow Jesus together. You really are. And so as a result of Rooted and the relationships we made and stuff, at the end of Rooted, it kind of tells you to pray about what God has next. And we thought it was working with students. So Logan started working with high school, and I was determined not to work in high school because I didn't want to bother our kids. So I'm like, you should not work in high school. So I worked in middle school and the Junction. But then after that, during that time, I was a house cleaner. So being a house cleaner was a good job for me because I could work it around my schedule and stuff. And I loved it because I could just pray and listen to worship music all day and pray for the people's houses I was in. Little did they know. And really learn the language of God, like just talk to him all day. And I was perfectly content with that until I just felt this nudging, like God was saying there was something different. But I didn't really know what that was, so I ignored it until my shoulder, which I'm not saying God gave me a shoulder injury, but it did get my attention. My shoulder started hurting so bad from scrubbing and vacuuming. It still kind of hurts when I do this.
Well, don't do that.
Yeah. So I had to quit because my shoulder was done. And so this time when I quit, I decided again, I was like, again, always in my life, something happens in your life and it changes, right? And so then you say, all right, God, you actually don't even say, all right, God, at least I didn't. I would just come up with my new plan. All right, I'm going to be an elementary school teacher, da-da-da-da. Okay, God, by the way, I'm going to be an elementary school teacher. Please bless my job and bless it. And I thought, why am I doing that? I'm just going to stop this time and wait and pray. And I'm going to see what he's going to have for me because it couldn't be worse than the jail, which was actually amazing. But anyway, so I just started praying and waiting for him to tell me what the next thing was. And the Bible passage that he really impressed on me in that time was Abraham and Sarah in Genesis 16, where God promised them a child. But it took God, so they knew that that was God's promise, right? But then it took God a long time to fulfill that promise, so they decided to make God's promise happen their own way with Hagar and have a child because they were doing what God wanted, but he wasn't doing it, so they had to figure it out. And so I knew he was telling me, don't even presume the next step. Like, just pray and wait one step at a time, because as soon as I got one step, I was likely to run down that trail. And he was like, no, just one step, and then I'll tell you the next one after that. So there was actually a lot of freedom and peace in waiting for God to show me what to do instead of me figuring it out and then telling God what I was doing. But it was also different and hard, and my husband was like, okay, well, when are you going to get a job? But so at this time, I had transitioned to starting to work with high school.
As a volunteer.
As a volunteer.
Yeah, you're one of the leaders.
And we did Rooted for 3 years with students, and it's amazing doing Rooted with students, by the way. So juniors and seniors that are here, it's your year for Rooted. So we had been working with the youth, and then Garrett and Wes came up to me. They were the pastors before. They came up and said, hey, Celeste, we were thinking, would you want to be an intern? And of course, at first I thought, I'm 45. I'm an intern. But at the same time, I'm a mom and a house cleaner. And I was shocked. I was like, working with students at the church, I would have never thought of that in a million years, never. But in my soul, the Holy Spirit, I knew when they said that, I knew he was like, that's exactly what I want you to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought of that. And besides, how can I even talk to teenagers? I don't know how to talk to teenagers or adults or anyone. But anyway, it was just in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, you always think of because I had a plan. I was going to work at an elementary school and be a teacher, and God was like, nope, this is it. So over the course of this last year, as you know, Garrett and Wes have since moved for different reasons to different places. And I think people have thought that maybe no one was left with the teenagers. And I'm not trying, I'm just I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just a house cleaner who prayed a lot, but I know that God told me to do this right now.
Yeah.
And
so you've been leading that ministry for the last few months now, and we've been working together, and you've got a great team of volunteers and different people involved. Let's just talk a little bit about how it's going. Is that good? And so we have some pictures that I want to maybe just talk about how it's going through just some pictures. And you tell us what we see here. What is this picture?
Okay, so this is my favorite picture, I think, in the whole world. Because, first of all,
So where is this?
This is at camp at UCYC, where we just were last week, okay? Or whenever that was, July 26th. And I just have to say, before I went to camp, I was like, Chris, I cannot stand up in front of 70 kids and talk what am I doing? And he's like, Celeste, just connect them to Jesus. You know how to do that. You don't have to give them a sermon. I'm like, okay, I know how to do that. All right. But anyway, so I just have to talk about this boat illustration real quick, because when I step onto that stage, when I step onto this stage, when I stepped into the jail, you know how Peter in Matthew 14 had to step out onto the boat to follow Jesus and just count on Jesus, and if Jesus didn't catch him or if he wasn't there would be nothing. And that is exactly how I felt when I walk in the jail, when I walked up on that stage, when I walk up on this stage. He has to show up and he has to be real, or it's a waste of time. And thankfully, Chris and I are like, well, turns out he is. But
So what are you doing? What's happening in this picture? That's you in the middle.
That's me in the middle. And so the first night, everybody just kind of sat in their chairs and stuff, and I was just trying to get them to know that that they can talk to God and that he answers them. And so I would play a song and we would just listen to the song, and then I would read a verse, and then I would make them sit in silence and ask God a question and write down what he was saying, and then together we would share what God was telling us. And by the last night, I had all these kids crawling up around and kneeling and looking at me and saying, Celeste, I can hear God. And they were like, it was like seeing Jesus come alive inside someone. Like, it was amazing. And all it is leading them to listen to Jesus for themselves, right? And actually believe that he answers and he speaks. And so this was a beautiful night for me because the kids were finally trusting enough to like, all right, let's try to talk to God.
Well, I think it's interesting to me because we have this picture, and probably many of us have it, of places like camp. We see the fun and the kids on the zip line and in the pool and singing songs and jumping around. But really, you ended each day kind of in this scene for like nearly an hour, right? Where you played a song, you read a verse, you gave them a piece of paper. What I loved about our camp is none of the students were supposed to have their phones or, connected devices with them. Now, I think a couple might have tried that rule out, but they're not on their phone. They're not looking at their phone, right? Like these kids are looking at Bibles, they're looking at pieces of paper, and you kind of guided them through it. A very simple, low-tech experience had a significant impact.
Yeah, and it's helpful because I can tell them, guys, I am nobody special. I'm a mom for 20 years who prays, right? Like, Jesus can talk to you. He talks to all of us. Like, There's nothing that, I'm not like Moses or something, or Chris or whatever, but we're all the same, right? We all have the same access to Jesus, and I just think that they don't realize that just like the ladies in the jail, like Jesus actually cares about them. Their world matters to him, and he actually wants to talk to them and tell them how much he loves them and about it.
All right, let's look at this next picture, and I don't like that you compared me to Moses. This obviously
Okay,
are some
so then
kids.
I guess I'll just be honest in this. That day, people were starting to say they wanted to get baptized, and Christy Reed was there, and I'm like, Christy, I don't know how to baptize people. I've never baptized anyone, but I've seen people get baptized, and I've been a pastor's kid and missionary kid, but I just was like, God, this seems like a big deal. Anyway, so that's a side note. But
Yeah.
God moved in these kids, and I didn't even tell them, let's get baptized. They're like, we want to get baptized. And so students were baptizing students, leaders were baptizing students. Again, I just can't even describe seeing Jesus come alive inside kids who've had a really hard year and may have another hard year, but knowing that there's life and hope and that Jesus is actually real is really what it was.
Yeah, how many students were baptized?
12 were
12
baptized.
students.
And then there's at least 2 more that want to get baptized tomorrow night, so I'll learn how to fill that thing up over there. So maybe more, but yeah.
Right on. All right, one more picture. What is this? Tell us what this third picture is.
So that was Monday night when we got back here, and there's a freshman, a junior, a senior up there, and the kids worshiping back together from camp, and just knowing that we did not leave Jesus at camp. We came, we got a supercharge, which I wish all the adults could go to camp, but we got to be with Jesus for 5 solid days focused on him, but also we came in a community back home, and together we can follow Jesus in this community here and in our schools. It's not going to be so different from camp, but...
So what can we do to be a part of what's happening with our students, our middle school, high school students?
Well, I have this handy little card here, but you guys obviously pray, and everyone says pray, but I actually mean it. Pray really does matter. Pray for our kids. Pray for school starting this week. It's hard. Every old person says it's so much harder now, but it really is hard for them navigating social media and the pandemic and all this stuff. So just pray for our kids. and pray that they stop and listen and follow Jesus, but really praying. But also we have youth coaches where you can come and hang out with kids and talk to them. We have a food team that is just starting, that is heating up food, serving food, smiling at kids. We have like games set up, takedown, really just being a solid adult who helps them follow Jesus. And you actually follow him more too.
So people can email you. Your email's on the screen. You're going to be over in the hospitality room after service. You got some of these cards and ways you can just talk and have a conversation, right? Middle school is 11:30 on Sunday right now. High school is Monday night here in this room. And then, like you said, we can pray. And so last week I asked everybody in our church when we were talking about college ministry, and Joel is up here to pray. And I'm going to ask you to do that again. And I was at a couple things this week where people's phone alarms went off at 2:52, and it made my little heart happy. And then mine went off in the middle of a meeting. It was super awesome. But I want you to set an alarm on your phone, and you can do this now. You can do like a "Hey Siri." Mine's already set. I don't need to do it again. Set an alarm at 2:52 every day. And why 2:52? In Luke chapter 2, verse 52 is where this comes from. It comes from Scripture. And we have this story of Jesus at 12 years old, right in the middle of middle school. And the story of him and the temple, and his parents lose him. It's a cool story. You can read it. And then in Luke 2:52, it says that Jesus grew. He's 12 years old. He grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and men. Meaning his relationship with other people and his relationship with God grew from there. And he became more wise, and he got taller, stature. And that's what we want for our students. That's what I want for my kids, what you want for your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, your neighbors. You want them to grow in wisdom. You want them to grow in their connection with God. Then that's what our youth ministry is all about, is helping them know Jesus is real and follow him. And you want them to grow in their connection with other people, especially adults who can just help them follow Jesus. So that's why 2:52. Someone asked me the why. I didn't explain it very well last week. But what if you just prayed every day this week at 2:52? And maybe you're in a meeting. Maybe it's a really important meeting, and your phone goes off, and you go, oh, and you just tell them why. That wouldn't be the end of the world. But anyway, we care about the next generation, and we will do whatever it takes to help you follow Jesus, and whatever it takes to help them as well. Thanks so much for being here and just sharing.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for being just this amazing leader and pastor to our kids and to my daughter, and it's just such an honor. I'm going to pray for you and for our students, and then we're going to worship one last time together. God, thank you for Celeste. Thank you for just her heart for you, and that you guided those steps, and that she listened all along this path that is her story with you, and now she's pouring that you into these students who are a part of our church and a part of our community. And God, we just praise you for 12 baptisms and all the amazing things that happen at UCYC. And we just thank you for who you are and what you're doing, that you are real. And that when we pray and when we listen, you speak into all of our lives, even in the lives of our teenagers. And I just pray that those people you're nudging right now to get involved, to help with food or games or coaching, that they would take a step and begin that process. We ask all this, Jesus, in your name. Amen.